Chili's, Applebee's, Red Robin. Yes, all marketing, absolute trash food. Everything's made in a commissary kitchen and just sent out. It's microwave food just served in a restaurant. I don't know why that was funny.
I just wanted to have fun. I still haven't hit my morning quota of caffeine. This will be 7 shots of espresso now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
I'm just,
You need 8, right? 8 to 10.
you see my Instagram. Yes. I usually end up somewhere around like 18 throughout the day.
Oh yeah, throughout the day I can see that. So I drink coffee after I do yoga.
Yeah.
And then take a shower and get all that done. And then I'll usually have some sort of like milder caffeine intake, like 50 milligrams via like the sparkling water, like mango sparkling water on my way to work. And then throughout the day, and it's like espresso shots, or I'll usually bring something like a Gatorade, Fast Twitch, or whatever, Rainstorm, something like that.
I can't do the energy drinks. It's 2 things. One, it's the amount of sugar or the synthetic sugar. This messes with me.
Yeah.
It's too much sugar that messes up my stomach.
I can't do the sugar one.
Or the fake sugar that gives me massive headaches. So like when people bake with like that fake sugar or
like erythritol or
like
I could see like stevia and stuff like that. Like I don't really use that. I use monk fruit extract, which
but still it's like, if I'm gonna have a cookie, I want rich sugar. But those energy drinks, man, brutal. All right, so that's
serious monsters.
So what's working with your hair? What's not working?
Well, I usually just slick it back for the most part.
Okay.
And I like it low around the ears. I guess the weirdest thing that I've noticed now is like when I slick it back, I get kind of this natural like part that I can't get rid of. Like it just kind of like splits. It's on this side.
Okay.
It's like after I use pomade, Suavecito, like firm hold. So when it's back, like this part right here kind of just goes.
Do you like that?
I just noticed it. But
okay.
It doesn't like necessarily bother me. Okay. But it's just something that I've noticed. No, what I hate is like when my hair grows out and this happens.
I have the little wings on the
Yeah. Like when it starts growing out and that happens.
Okay. When's the last time you got a haircut?
It's been a while now. Probably like close to 8 weeks.
Okay. So this is, but you keep it fairly short then.
I keep it short. Yeah. It's usually like a number 3 or so, like on the bottom.
Okay.
And then just kind of fades up into longer on top.
Do you like seen any skin, or is that like, you don't want to see skin?
Not that, yeah. There's not that tight. Not quite that.
Yeah. Last time I saw you was here in Austin when we went to
Commodore,
which was awesome.
like right when they opened. Yeah.
Right when they opened. Yeah. And then before that, I saw you in San Francisco.
Yeah. Right. When we went out, that was close to my birthday, right? We went to like,
one other time after that.
Oh, was it after?
Yeah. Cause I saw you the day after your birthday, and we ended up drinking a bunch of awesome tequila at that place called Tommy's Mexican.
The Mexican place.
Yeah. Right. It was out in the Richmond on like Geary and 24th or something like that. Good plug for great Mexican food in San Francisco, by the way. Then it was after that, my friends were getting married. And I remember because my parents are there. So that was the last time I think I saw you before we moved out to Austin.
Yeah.
Is the length on top too long for you? Are you?
Oh, right now, yeah. There's probably like another like 1.5 to 2 inches shorter.
So you're thinking like somewhere like this kind of stuff coming out. Okay. So
yeah, I do keep it a little longer on top.
So that way it can kind of
it lays down.
Lay it down. Yeah. If we get it too short, we get short spiky thing.
And my hair is like kind of wavy. So when it's shorter, it'll just kind of like just wants to stay up.
When you get out of the shower and your hair is wet, what's your method of your MO?
You mean like after I dry my hair? Or
I don't know. Like you get out of the shower, your hair is wet. What do you do?
Towel dry my hair. That's the first thing I dry, actually. I get out, grab my towel, dry my hair in my face, dry everything else off, and go in there.
Well, I mean, specifically for the hair.
You don't understand. The hair doesn't stop here. It goes from here all the way.
Yeah. From here over here, you're like a hairy dude. Yeah, exactly. Hairy dude. A chest rub going on.
Yeah.
So with your hair, so you towel dry your hair. Mm-hmm. Do you blow dry it?
I do not. No. So my routine is hair still kind of damp from the shower. I'll actually wet my hands a little bit and just kind of run it through my hair again.
Okay.
And then grab the pomade, rub it on my hands, and then it works in better if my hair is like a little bit
Wet.
but not like wet. Yeah, because the pomade's so thick.
It's a water soluble product. So adding water is going to help dilute the whole, which may be as your hair gets longer, you may want to add more of that in your hair to kind of like keep it in place. Or just wetting your hair down. Okay. Just fair. It's similar to layrite, which is what I would use when my hair was short. So it's like Suavecito and layrite are, I'd say they're brands that are similar. They probably, are competing for the same demographic of customer, but they're like, they work identical. I think the only difference I notice is maybe some might be a little stronger in the fragrance.
Yeah, for me, it works the best. I've tried like, the Fix Your Lid and who else makes stuff? Old Spice. That stuff's trash. That's how the Suavecito works the best. Yeah, for my hair anyway.
Cool. So we're going to take this pretty short. I don't think I'm going to use clippers. I think I'm going to try and get it tight to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if we need to, we can go through and dial in a little bit tighter. Just because you have wave in your hair, right? And so one of the things that I'm thinking is that since you have wave and wear your hair going back, clippers are more of a vertical motion, right? So you're going up and down, but you're wearing your hair going away from your face, not up and down, right? And you have wave. So there are ways of cutting your hair to give it that direction. As it wants to grow out, it will still want to continue to go off of your face.
So good.
Yeah, it'll look good if I take a 3 to the sides now, but I'm thinking, what if you end up in the same situation that you're in right now, which is it's been 8 weeks in between haircuts, because I know your schedule you've had, you haven't really had a day off. Which is the whole reason it took 2.5 months for you to 2-3 months.
Yeah,
for you to
you've been trying since like March or
March or April. Exactly. Now we're end of July, right? So it's been a long time. And so I'm thinking if you were to have that same situation where maybe you're understaffed and you need to fill in those positions, you'll still be able to look presentable. Is that cool?
That works. I like it.
I don't have anything like Suavecito, but I will put something in your hair so you can still do that.
Okay, sounds good.
Your clean hair. I love that you showed up with your clean hair air dried, so it gives me an idea of what your hair doing.
How it just naturally.
Yes, because the last time, I think, when I saw you at Commodore, your hair was stiff. It wasn't natural, right?
Right.
That's one thing. And the last time I remember seeing you from that, your hair was really long. When your hair is this short versus down to your shoulders, gravity and weight take into effect. So if you have wave or curl, it's like, I'm not going to notice because unless your hair is this curl.
Yeah, my hair is, yeah.
Yes, I do.
I have what I call Jesus curls. So I get like the big curls down there.
I was telling somebody, I feel like my hair is somewhere between I feel like some days I feel like I belong in like Ron Machado land, the surfer. Yeah. And then other times I feel like, I have a cool Chris Cornell day. And then other times I'm like, I'm totally Sammy Hagar. I'll take the Ron Machado any day.
Yeah, the beach look is definitely sexier than Sammy Hagar. You don't want to do that. That's like that mushroomy kind of curly hair.
Well, that was also the style of the time too, right? I mean, like styles change. Like nobody ever wore their hair curly for years, and like all of a sudden everyone's like, "Let's wear your hair curly again." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll give this a shot." This spray bottle sucks.
It reminds me of the Mr. Clean that I use. Like when you spray it, like keeps going. Yeah. So you have to kind of like pump it and then like keep moving it. And like
the thing that sucks is it loses the pressure. So I'll spray, and then it goes, and so I have to like open it and like get more air to come in the thing.
Interesting. Not a good plug for that spray bottle.
Yeah. And I remember I bought it at one of the like spots that you buy stuff as a hairdresser, like one of the stores that only I can buy things at.
Right, like you have to be a professional.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, so it's here, it should be decent, and it's like one of the worst. And then I bought two because I didn't know which one I wanted. They both suck. And the one I like is this like Japanese brand, and it's the sprayer on it is like beautiful. And you're knowing what you do for a living, which nobody knows yet. Like, you pay attention to these small details of a tool, right? Oh, yeah. And a spray bottle, for some people, it's a spray bottle. For me, it's a tool. It's a very, very usable tool.
Right.
And it's great, but the problem is like if you end up, if it falls or drops, there's like right on the shoulder of the, like, let's say, like, if this is the spray bottle, right? Like right here, it literally is like a 90-degree angle like this, but this plastic's way more squeezable, right? The other one's really hard. So if it drops, it cracks and splits this whole thing. And so what I need to do is I need to find another spray bottle that has the same opening, and then I could like modify. But I haven't found that one yet. Let's tell everybody what you do.
I am a chef, non-celebrity chef. Perhaps you figured that out already, but
What do you mean? That should actually be, it should be like Spencer Lutz gets a haircut, non-celebrity chef.
yeah,
You'd be like, non-celebrity, like that's a weird thing to advertise.
but it's true. I mean, whenever you tell somebody you're a chef, their eyes always light up. They're like, oh, like, and then they name all these celebrity chefs, and you're like, no, I'm not like that at all.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted you to be one of my guests, is because you're not a celebrity chef. And I feel that chefs or people who work in that restaurant industry are all, you only hear about the celebrity chef.
Right? Yeah. Well, I mean, they're on TV, so you know.
Well, that's the only reason you only hear about them, because they've done something, right? But where you hear about, like, I don't know, like the mom and pop chef person who happens to get like best of whatever that beats out the James Beard restaurant the year before. And it's like, I was like, I've just been using my great grandma's recipes, and I'm glad somebody likes them, you know?
Yeah, and for those even, you'd have to like read like an Edible Austin or some sort of like local chronicle, LA Chronicle, something like that to even know about those, you know?
Yeah, they're not like getting on like the Today Show.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, they can get on the local, like, what do we have out here? Austin 512 or something like that, Morning 512.
Yeah,
I watch just TV anymore, except for my girlfriend. I think she's the only one keeping terrestrial radio and regular ass TV alive.
I listen to the radio. I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Old school with commercials radio?
With commercials. I only listen to 2 stations, and it depends on what time of the day I'm in the car. So if it's in the morning, I'll listen to The Wave, which is in the morning. It's the Booker, Alex, and Amanda show. I think it's Amanda or Adriana. I forget. They've switched up the new girl. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'll listen to that because I know Booker and I know Alex personally, and I think they're funny individually, and I know, and their show's great. It reminds me of the fun days of morning morning radio.
Right, like play rock and
like Kevin the Bean kind of stuff, right? Just fun, good stuff. Once they're off the air, I listen to the K-Rock, not the K-Rock, the rock station. I forget what that one is.
Is it the classic rock one?
I think so.
LBJ.
Yes.
KLBJ.
Yeah, KLBJ. Now, if you have a car that has HD radio, there's 2 channels on that same dial. Have you done this?
No, my car does not. I have a 2010 Prius.
Okay, well, if you're in a car that has HD, like maybe your girlfriend does or something, switch to the second channel on that. It's all death mode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I didn't know this till I was in a rental car, and I got into the car and I was listening to it, but I had moved to the knob, or I thought what was the volume, and I had switched it to the HD channel, not knowing because it's a rental. I'm not familiar with the car. It's like 7:30 in the morning, and I'm in my head, I see the same numbers, like whatever, like 93, 95, whatever.
93.7, I think it is.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All I hear at like 7 something in the morning, I'm not even kidding, is the band Dying Fetus.
Nice.
And I'm like, whoa, this station goes hard. Because like the night before, they were like, you know, playing like AWOL Nation and Atlas Genius. And then I'm like, whoa, so this is the hour, and they want to choose Cannibal Corpse and Dying Fetus.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, screw my Starbucks order right now. I'm pumped.
Right, I'll be hit. And caught off guard. Like,
Totally caught off. I was like, because that would never happen in California. If you listen to K-Rock and you listen to the HD station, it's on 80s New Wave. So it's like Talking Heads and Depeche Mode and like Adamant and Morrissey. But, you know, during the day, it's just, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, right. Every once in a while, they'll throw you a bone and play some classic Radiohead or something.
Yeah, but it's just always Chili Peppers.
Yeah, it's annoying. Chili Peppers used to be so good. And it's like, I don't know, maybe I got old or they got old, one of the two.
You know what I've realized about bands is like there are bands that grow and sometimes you don't grow with them.
Yeah, I could say that.
And I think that's fine. It's like friendships.
Plus, when you're in a band, like you don't want to be doing the same thing. You know,
Tell that to AC/DC.
I was going to say, like the Stones and AC/DC and stuff, like it works for them. Yeah, I actually went and saw ZZ Top. Like last year. Yeah, last summer.
With the new guy?
Yeah, with the new bass player.
Who has a beard?
He looks just like he should have been in ZZ Top. Yeah, it was cool. Ann Wilson opened up for him, and Jeff Beck did, and it was like 2 months before he died.
That's nuts. That was right over at Circuit of America.
Yeah,
right?
it was at Coda, yeah.
Yeah. That was a completely unexpected thing about Jeff Beck.
Yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, I just saw that, dude. It's kind of like we went and saw Greta Van Fleet, and then like a month later, the lead singer blows out his eardrum and cancels the rest of the tour.
I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, it happened. So we saw them in November, I think, and then like by December, they had to cancel the rest of their tour because it blew out his eardrum.
Is that like a recoverable thing?
I think there's probably some permanent damage, I imagine. But yeah, your eardrum it'll fix. But
Yeah, but you won't be able to hear 100% after that.
probably not. No.
I wonder if it's like certain frequencies, because I remember reading an article years ago that Les Claypool had a ruptured eardrum from scuba diving.
Oh yeah, it's that. Yeah,
I mean, and like I think
the pressure.
on the way up or down, that took a long time to heal, and that's why they're like, why haven't you been making new music? And he's like, well, I have this or something like that. How long have you been a chef?
Oh, I'm gonna date myself now.
I don't care.
18 years.
18 years?
18 years professionally. Yeah, I went to culinary school 19 years ago, and I was working in kitchens, but just not getting paid.
I mean, you're working in kitchens and not getting paid. Well, explain that. I don't understand that.
So you do these things called stages. Usually they only last like a day or two, maybe, depending on the restaurant. And it's kind of like a physical trial, just to make sure that you have like enough technique and chops to actually get the job as a line cook.
Okay.
It's very common in the industry. Some places pay you, some places don't. Since I was like in culinary school and literally had only been in culinary school for 2 weeks, we had an assignment where we had to go do a stage for a place just to kind of get an idea how it is to work in a kitchen. The guys at this restaurant, I went to a restaurant off of Melrose. It was called Alex. That was the name of the chef. He was a Scottish guy doing kind of French bistro cuisine, a little bit more, you know, it had like mango relish and stuff like that with the crab cake. So a little bit different than, you know, French cuisine, but
French, do you not do a mango relish?
the French do not use the mango too often. No.
I don't know. My only real understanding of French cuisine is anything that has a red wine reduction, beurre blancs, and steak frites.
Yeah, and escargot. You know.
Never eaten that.
Oh, you should. That'd be good.
I've had frog legs.
Yeah, frog legs are good. The frog legs are good.
Frog legs are good.
Yeah, so I did a stage. They liked me. It happened to be, I kind of stepped in shit on that one. It happened to be a wedding that night, so people had bought out the restaurant. So I really just had to kind of help them plate like these, you know, everybody was getting the same thing.
Plating is, I believe, talking to you, I mean, it feels like it's like its own art form.
It is definitely an art form, if not the highest art form of being a chef. That's probably the most difficult to make. Like to make food look beautiful, especially on camera. That's like all those like food and wine magazines and stuff. Like I've done photo shoots of filming food or, you know, photographing food.
Yeah.
It is extremely difficult. It is very time consuming because food doesn't like to be have its picture taken, I guess. So I guess with Instagram and stuff now, it's different. That's why you ever see that Instagram post that kind of look like shit most of the time. Like, oh, check out my steak tartare. I'm like, that looks like somebody shit on a plate. But it's just because, like, you have to do a lot to it with the lighting and basically undercook it and all this stuff to make food look like it does on a commercial.
I remember watching like a video like how to do a food thing, and they're like misting the hamburger with water. So the bun has this nice sheen to it.
Exactly. Otherwise, it just looks dead, dull. Like,
and it's funny because you say that, and all I keep thinking about is the scene in the movie with Michael Douglas in Falling Down. He's at the which is supposed to be like the McDonald's.
Right. Yeah.
His son is like 10:32, and they stop serving breakfast at 10:30. He's like, sorry, it's after 10:30, and he's like screaming, like, why does that? He gets his, you know, crappy little hamburger, and he's like screams like, why does my food look like this?
Like the picture, yeah.
And I don't look like the picture, yeah. Which is, I mean, you've seen it.
Oh yeah,
it's a great movie. I actually call that a dark comedy.
It is, but it's so like we've all had those days.
The whole day is just like the world is shitting up repeatedly. Yeah. Like every hour is a new case of diarrhea.
Yeah.
And instead of you having it, it's having it on you. And that's the movie.
It is. It's like a dude who's just tired of being shit on. And he was like, I'm not standing for this anymore. I need a beautiful burger in my life.
After watching that YouTube about styling food, because someone had asked me, since I do photography, like, hey, could you do some food photography? And I was like, well, I've never done food photography outside of taking photos for sending it, on my travels to like to my wife or my friends. Like, oh, look, I'm eating, wherever you told me to eat at. I was like, I had no clue. So I started doing a little R&D, and I was like, I hope he knows how to do these things with the food.
Right. Yeah.
I can get the lighting right. I can get the angle, but outside of making the food look delicious, that's all that.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. Talking about a toolkit, like you'll be using chopsticks, toothpicks, like you said, water, like sprayed paintbrushes, like all sorts of stuff. Like you need so many things in your arsenal. Like just to like tweak something. It's like, oh, that green onion's kind of hanging in a weird way, and I can't really get to it. All right, let's get these chopsticks out. Kind of just give it a nudge. Like it's very odd.
It is strange, the whole thing. But I've always just wondered, like, if you were to own a restaurant, Spencer,
Which I would never do, by the way. But go ahead.
would you, like, if you're going to do advertising for the food in the menu, does it really matter how great the food is if it just looks delicious? Like, I'm imagining this is the reason, like, these big chains, like an Applebee's, is they spend the money in the advertising, and then the food turns out like in the movie, falling down.
Yeah.
Like, is that like the best way to like entice people's having these beautifully shot things and they're just serving like whatever later?
It'll definitely help get people in. It's a weird thing. So there's like the culinary world it has so many different facets. You could open up a mom and pop shop, and then just kind of like word of mouth, try to get your stuff around. Like you make good food. You're hoping, you're kind of throwing prayers in a bucket and just hoping that, somebody eats there that loves it and passes it on around town. That's one dynamic. And then it's like, that's very low overhead and whatnot. Then you have like the fast food, fast food, we'll just take that out of the equation. Big brands, like you're saying, Chili's, Applebee's, Red Robin, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So yes, all marketing, absolute trash food. Everything's made in a commissary kitchen and just sent out. It's microwave food just served in a restaurant. Everything comes in a bag. They don't really have, probably Red Robin does have a grill, but every place else, like, it's just a wall of microwaves.
Really?
And they're just heating things up like it's an old person's home.
Is that why they don't have open kitchens?
Yeah.
We'd be in on
You'd just hear beep, beep,
the whole time.
sweet, ready. Yeah.
I think that's why they have the music so loud in fucking restaurants.
Yeah. So you can't hear the microwave beeps. And they probably have fryers too.
I would imagine that it'd be really difficult to replicate French fries to have that crispiness in a microwave.
Yeah, no, you can't do that in a microwave.
Unless you have a row of air fryers, which is the only way I've been able to replicate French fries at home is when I had an air fryer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're little, like, those things that always have like a grill. Like, oh, how would you like that cooked? It doesn't matter. You're getting the steak how the fuck it comes out of that conveyor belt, no matter what, however you order it. I don't eat at those places too often anymore. It's usually like a bite the bullet. Somebody's, grandma invites you or whatever, and you have to go to Olive Garden. So it doesn't matter like how you order it. Like, it's not coming out that way.
I try not to eat at chain restaurants because I don't trust the sourcing of the food.
No, yeah, it's like prison grade food.
Which is still better than what they serve kids in school.
Yeah, which is sad. That is a super sad thing.
Hi, I kill a lot of people. I'm in prison for life, and I'm eating better than your third grade.
Yeah, it's like I really respect people like Alice Waters and Jamie Oliver and stuff who brought that, to light, and unfortunately hasn't caught fire too much yet. There are efforts to make food better in schools.
I like Jamie Oliver. He's one of those like celebrity chefs that I actually think would be a really cool person to like
talk to. Yeah, still down to earth.
Yeah. And I also think that about Gordon Ramsay.
I mean, he'd be fun to interview, I guess. His shows are just such bullshit though, right? Well, yeah, if you ever treated anybody like that, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, they'd be like, dude, go fuck yourself.
I think that was a little bit played up for the for the camera.
It is, yeah. And there are chefs out there. And so the thing is, like, that's how kitchens used to be. And like, if you were a 20-year-old, like super hard up to work at a Michelin star restaurant, you might take abuse like that, but not for long. It'll eventually, like, you'll learn very screw this. Yeah. And you can't handle that stress. You will, and you'll kind of, and I'm this way too, because I've had chefs that were pretty rough, but
Really?
not as bad as Gordon Ramsay, because he's just an idiot. Well, not an idiot. The way
Like, what are you saying?
the way he is on Hell's Kitchen, like these other shows are cool. Like I loved Kitchen Nightmares, great show. That's very true.
That was where, like, I think a lot of people got to see this other side of Gordon.
Yeah.
So, random story. One of the girls I used to work with back in California was his hairdresser. And I randomly met her at a taping of Hell's Kitchen. So I actually went to the whole thing. I was like, what are you doing here? She's like, I cut Gordon's hair and I decided to come down to the set. I was like, well, what's he like? She's like, he is one of the nicest, most generous guys. And hearing that and only knowing him from the context of Hell's Kitchen, it was a little bit of a stretch. But then you see Kitchen Nightmares, and then you see the passion he has, but like it comes in a very loving, more like the parent who's like, you could do so much better.
Yeah. More like a mentor.
Yes, I agree with you about Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah. Kitchen Nightmares and that's where he got his rise to fame, though. So that's when people think of Gordon Ramsay, they think of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay. It's actually all, I think, fake. I think it's all scripted.
Think so?
Yeah, I had a friend who did the catering on that show. Funny enough that you would actually have craft catering on culinary show, but they did. And yeah, it's like they're like,
Well, you have to have catering on every show. It's like part of like a
union thing.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
there'd be no way they would force the talent to cook their lunch.
Yeah, but the thing that always annoyed me about that show is when he would call out tickets. You know, these guys don't have a ticket in front of them, so they have to remember everything. That's fine. They have like one or two things coming off their station. Not easy, or not that difficult. But he'll be like, all right, ordering it. 2 6 and a scallop. And I was like, okay, you just made absolutely no sense. Nobody heard what the hell he said.
Are you sure that's just because he has an English accent?
No, he would say it so fast.
Okay.
Normally he'd be like, ordering in 2 scallop, 1 sea bass, 3 filet mignon, something like that. You know, like everyone can hear you and they call back, yes, chef.
Do you think they did that to like mess with the contestants a bit?
Possibly, but I'm just like, that's not how, like, for somebody working in kitchens, you're like, that's not how you do that. You know, you're like, that's just, and then you have to turn the channel because now the facade is broken. You're like, I hate this show now.
Because it's not,
Yeah, it's just
it's not a realistic depiction of
exactly.
that world. I've never worked in a restaurant. I've never once.
Lucky you.
You know what? You and I have known each other for a long time. Over 20 years now.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah. I met you when I was
3.
Yeah.
You were 19, 18?
No. I think it was just out of 17. 17 or 18. Yeah. I think it was I don't think I was 17. I think it was 18.
I think you were 18.
18.
Yeah.
Back in California. And so I've only ever had 3 jobs, which was I sold guitars, I worked at the camera store, and then I started doing hair. Like, that's it. I feel like you've only, to my knowledge, only had like 2 careers. You did something with like, I forget what it was, some office job.
Yeah, I did like insurance tracking. And we won't talk about that.
And then you decided to make like a wildly crazy turn into culinary.
Yeah, I did.
And it surprised me because I never heard you once talk about food. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm passionate about food. I'm like, I've never heard you once mention.
It's funny because ever since I was like, probably like 11 or 12,
Yeah.
I really liked watching like the cooking shows. At that time, they were just on PBS. There was no Food Network or anything. So it was a lot of these, there was Yan Can Cook. Everybody knows that guy.
Who?
Yan Can Cook?
No.
Martin Yan?
No.
Yan can cook and so can you.
No, I've never even heard of that.
Unfortunate. No, he was great, just big personality guy that would teach people basically like how to cook at home, Chinese food primarily. Okay. Then there was a British guy called Graham Kerr who did health food, like healthier foods to cook at home. I really loved him. He was almost this Mr. Rogers kind of personality, and just like was very loving. Like you just loved this guy. Like he was just like a great like uncle or dad you could have. So I tried cooking a few of his recipes at like 12 years old. And yeah, just my parents ate it. I'll just say that. So I was 12. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
No, it's great. Just last night, I let Tab, he's 6. He's been kind of showing interest because I do a lot of cooking. We made tacos last night. He really wants to help in the kitchen. And so I put him on tortillas. So we have our comal, right? We have our, and then he was, I give him the oven mitt. So that way, if he needed to grab something, he has the oven mitt. Then he has this little, I like to use a spatula that's metal. That's more like for fish. The fish one, the fillet one, you know what I'm talking about?
The ones with the slits in it.
Yeah, it's like kind of curved. I like it because it's thinner than the plastic ones. He was using that to like flip the tortilla over because I would use my hands.
Right.
But that's not really like a great example
For a 6-year-old.
for a child.
Touch hot things.
Yeah. Hey, don't touch hot things, but watch dad just burn his fucking fingerprints off.
Right.
He loved it. And he wants to do more of that. I told him, I go, look, learning how to cook is one of those things that's going to help you the rest of your life.
Yes. It's the things. So there's few things that they teach you in like, even at like a high school level.
I don't think they do that yet.
They don't. That's what I'm saying. They should teach you like what I call life skills. Like that's a life skill. Like learning how to cook for yourself is a life skill. You don't need to be a chef. You don't need to be like gourmet, but just being able to like make yourself a freaking grilled cheese sandwich or heat up, some salmon or, just know how a freaking oven works. Yeah.
You taught me how to make eggs.
Yeah. Didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Probably.
No, you taught me how to make eggs, and you also taught me how to flip the eggs in the pan.
Which is a skill. Yes.
And to like not make them break. And I haven't done that in years. I got it to a point where I was able to do it like pretty much in my sleep. And the reason I say that is because I came home once from a night out drinking many adult beverages, and I was craving just like diner food. But I was like, I have eggs and I have bread. And I have a toaster and an oven. So like, let's do this. I somehow was able to do this. Maybe not 3 sheets to the wind, but a few.
But close.
And I was, I didn't break those. Thanks, Spence. Like, I remember like always, every time I do that, I'm like, man, Spence is the master at this.
I have flipped so many eggs. Yeah, egg cookery is actually very important in the chef world. The toques, those are those funny, tall, white French hats.
Yeah. What's up with those things?
So that's just like a classic, like French, the French created like modern cuisine, basically, or, what was modern cuisine at that time. Techniques, sauces, all that stuff. Escoffier, yeah. So it was Escoffier, yeah. Him and...
it's on my bookshelf.
So, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The folds, it has 101 folds in it. And each fold is a way you can prepare eggs. Like it is the 101 ways that eggs can be prepared.
So to me, there's only like a few ways. Scrambled.
Just great. Yeah.
Which I think probably started off as like some chef or some cook for some king, and they fucked up the egg, and they're like, I don't want my head chopped off today.
Yeah.
Let's make it work.
Yeah. Throw some stuff in there.
And I'm like, what is this? It's a scrambled egg. Yeah, I imagine it came from like a fear. And then, you got like over easy, over medium, right?
Your classic diner stuff, sunny side up.
Yeah.
But then there's basted, poached. Yeah.
Poached. Would a frittata fall into that category, or is that something completely different?
It could be, because, I could not rattle off the 101 ways. I just know that little piece of trivia. Yeah, I don't know if like quiche, frittata, Espanol, tortilla, which is, it's an egg. Basically, it's the Spanish version of a frittata.
Okay.
I don't know if those fall into that category, because that's basically scrambled eggs that you're just mixing stuff into and baking it.
Which is delicious.
Which is great. Yeah.
It should be like leftover bacon or extra ham.
Anything.
Bell peppers.
Caramelized onion, potatoes, useless facts.
That's great dinner trivia.
It is, yeah. It could be. Depends on how much somebody cares about eggs. But I think everybody should care about eggs because, that's life giving you life. Even from like a vegan, like animal cruelty standpoint, like eggs are just like free protein. It's just an unfertilized egg that's just going to rot. Like you would be silly not to use that as food and like an awesome source of protein.
So you're not a vegan?
No, I do not agree with the vegan mentality.
For a number of years, I was what I'd call like a vegetarian. Like I really was, but I was like a very unhealthy vegetarian.
Which most are, yeah.
I dated a girl who was raised vegetarian her whole life. I was incorporating a lot more vegetarian entrees and meals in my life. And I started noticing my energy level just dropping.
Yeah, for sure.
I just sort of go with like, if I feel better eating something afterwards, then I'm going to eat more of it. And so I somewhere along the line, I realized that when I have higher protein intake, I just function better.
Yeah, as I think most people do, unless you have some sort of, underlying, either disease or just the way your body processes foods. A high protein diet is the best diet that a human being can have. That's just what we're supposed to eat. That's how our evolution is. And it's how your body functions the best.
Yeah.
You get the most vitamins. People don't know there's a lot of vitamins and nutrients that you can only get through animal-based proteins.
Everyone's all about eating the egg whites, but not the yolk.
Yeah,
So that.
yeah.
My understanding was the yolk was the most nutrient dense part of the egg. Like that's actually part you should be eating. If your diet for fitness or whatever was like, you have to eat 6 egg whites every day.
Yeah, you're not getting the full protein amount of those egg whites. You're getting the low-fat version of an egg.
Somebody I talked to about this, he's a registered dietitian, was saying that like the amount of fats and all the omegas, even with the possibility of a higher increase of cholesterol, which was a topic that him and I were discussing at that time. And just remember him saying that even if you just have like one egg with a yolk in that setup, you would be far better suited for more of a balanced meal than if you had tried to substitute the fat with like a cottage cheese or some sort of low-fat dairy cheese product. Because beyond the fat, there is like other vitamin sources or something like that.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot in there. And I mean, I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist or anything. But I do follow, people who are. So I know, the street version of that. About the low fat thing, the low fat stuff always has high sugar. Like if you look at the label, anything that's low fat will have a higher sugar count than, for example, the easiest example is like whole milk versus low fat milk or 2% milk. Yeah. The sugar is so much higher in the lower fat version. I don't know why they did that.
I don't know either. I mean, just recently Texas was able to, now you can buy raw milk.
Yeah. That's good too. Cream floating on top.
I love raw, unpasteurized milk. And people are like, you're going to die. I'm like, no.
We're not like that anymore. We have health. We have a lot stricter health codes and stuff now.
All the best cheeses are from unpasteurized milk.
Yeah, which you used to only be able to get from like Europe, and then it'd have to get imported over to get a raw milk cheddar or something. And now you can get it at Central Market or Whole Foods or whatever.
You still can't buy the raw milk there though. Funny enough, I thought it was crazy that like Texas had not had that. I thought for sure. I mean, Texas, like everything is,
everything's pretty much legal here.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is like a little bit like the Wild West. And then I was like, wait, what? That's where you draw the line? Like,
raw milk?
Yeah, like raw milk. That's the hill you're dying on. Got it. Meanwhile, like California is like, you can't do like anything in California. It seems like
no.
But they've had that for years. Like the one thing they still have. I was like, so every time I go back to California, I always try to go and just pick up some raw milk so I can get it at the larger health food places or health food markets. Like out here, the health food markets don't even have that. You may be able to find goat milk.
I don't know. I've only ever seen like one brand of goat milk. It's that, I think it's Myersburg or something like that.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I used to have to buy it for, when I worked at Shore, we made our leche de tigre out of goat milk. And that was the only brand. And it was hard as fuck to find too. But if you can buy any food direct from a farmer, that's the best food you can get, because it hasn't been treated in any way to like be able to be shipped or, most supermarkets, everything's factory, right? It's factory meat, it's factory produce. It's just the worst thing for the world in the environment. Factory? Yeah, factory, anything, factory farming, like they just decimate our soil. The government subsidizes soybeans, it subsidizes corn, wheat, all these things that just rip all the nutrients out of the soil, and then it just basically it kills the soil in that land. So you can't grow shit on there for 10, 15 years until it can regenerate itself.
So are you a fan of regenerative farming?
Absolutely. That's what I was saying. Like buying direct from a farmer who is like a small farmer,
Okay.
not like Purdue farmer. That's the thing, because they do, the animals put nutrients back into the soil. You're growing, things in different areas, and you're growing the right things at the right time, and you're not like overgrowing, the amount, you're not crowding it. You're not spraying it with pesticides because you don't need it, because you're going to lose some crops anyway to bugs and stuff like that. That's nature,
Mm-hmm.
But those bugs and stuff add other critical elements to that farm, to where the worst, factory farm meat, yes, it's gross because they crowd them and, they shoot them full of antibiotics and all sorts of crazy shit. Produce is not any better because, like I say, it does rip all the nutrients out of the soil. But they also, when they go in and, that corn crop's done, they just till all that stuff. So they're tilling all the wildlife that's around there. Like,
tilling?
Like where you tear up, you're just like tearing up the earth to kind of like make it softer sand.
Yeah. God.
So they till all that up. And in that process, they're tilling up, the animals that are around there, whatever, rodents, if there's a rabbit running by, sorry, dude, like you're getting mulched up in there. So the whole vegan thing annoys the hell out of me, like with that, because it's like, okay, well, if you're not growing your own food, basically, like then you're not helping, protect animals and stuff, because that whole factory farming for produce destroys animal life.
For you, it's the hypocrisy of like, save the animals, don't eat them. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to be a big supporter of large factory corporate farming, which indirectly is just killing animals.
Yeah. So it's even worse because you're just killing them for no reason.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that before. I don't actually have an opinion about people being vegan or not. I just look at it like, if you're healthy doing whatever you're doing, then I'm okay with it.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's body is different. So certain diets work for certain people, right? Like they feel better. Like if you have heart disease and you have to be a vegan for 6 months to kind of get your cholesterol back in order or whatever, cut all fats out of your diet and stuff. I understand those things. If you're going to be a vegan and try to stand on your high horse, which a lot of them do, we've all seen, was that Scott Pilgrim versus the World? I'm vegan. We're just better,
Well, there's like that joke, like it's like vegans and CrossFitters have the same, like they would never be able to survive in Fight Club. Because the first whole Fight Club is not talking about
talking about Fight Club.
And it was just like, the first steps, like the joke's like, vegan CrossFitters would never be able to, because they'd always be like, oh, hi, I do vegan and CrossFit. Mm-hmm. I remember for a while, like that was like a recurring meme that just kept popping up. I didn't even knew a lot of people who did CrossFit at the time.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't shut up about it.
No, yeah.
But they were always injured too.
It's a lifestyle.
They were always injured.
Yeah.
It's not like you're not doing it right. Like you're so focused on the competition, you're not focused on your form.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like any professional weightlifter will tell you form over weight, or speed.
Yeah. But at the same time, I also love the workouts that CrossFit do. Absolutely. What they do, they're great full body workouts.
Using things that you can just like find around. You don't need like a universal gym, or you don't need to spend a lot of money on it. I don't, like if somebody's vegan, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I'm like, I know deep down, they probably don't feel good on the inside. They might feel morally good, but I know physically they probably feel like shit, in my opinion.
I don't know. I don't really have any, in my immediate circle, I don't have any friends that are vegan. Mm-hmm. At one point, there was somebody I knew, and she, for years, was a raw vegan.
That's intense.
Yeah. And I remember she was over at my house, and I was like, I cannot offer you anything in my house. I literally,
probably those people coming into a restaurant.
Oh, God.
I have water for you.
I literally was like, I have this potato, and I don't think you can even cook it till it's going to be delicious. I mean, you can eat it like an apple. She's like, I'll just wait. The reason she was raw actually made sense to me when it came to actually getting the nutrients out of vegetables. It made sense to me, which I took that little tidbit and put it into my own lifestyle. Like, all right, well, I don't want to overcook green beans.
Definitely not.
I don't want to overcook broccoli. Like there's this fine line where, even with vegetables, like to pull a term for pasta, like there is this al dente like thing.
Yeah, because if you overcook it, then you've left all the nutrients in the water.
Yes.
So you just cooked it all out.
Which is like those Appalachian style green beans. And they're just like, they're literally mush. And I saw it popped up on my Instagram, because somehow as a hairdresser, nothing hair pops up on my Explorer feed, which is I'm so stoked. Like the last thing I want to do is see more of what I do for a living. I want to see other stuff.
Yeah, you want to escape it.
Yeah, and food is one of those that pops up. It's like food, guitars, and muscle cars. Those things pop up, I'm happy. And it was like, show how to make these Appalachian green beans. And they have like these whole red potatoes, and then put like all this water, and they go, now boil it down, and like the water's dissolved. And I'm like, okay, they're done. Because they looked done. They go, you gotta add more block. They added like, they did this 3 times.
What is wrong with those green beans where you got to cook them for so damn long?
I'm going to send you the video because it looked, I was like, this doesn't, it looks unappetizing to me.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a joke. Like those things, like
I thought
I mean, for more recipes.
I thought it was a joke, and it's a real account. All I kept thinking about is if this is like a normal staple, they're not getting a lot of good minerals, not getting any sort of nutrient dense food.
No,
Cuisine.
And that's one thing about animal proteins too, is like you can cook them, obviously the people that are eating well done, that's kind of the mindset from back in the day when, there was a lot of disease and stuff because there wasn't as much oversight on sanitation. But now it's like, it's impossible to like grow disgusting meat.
Real quick, how's this length right here on the side?
Yeah, you mean it closest to the ear?
Not this part. I'm going to take that, but I'm going to clean this up with the edgers. I was wanting to know, is this right here? Is this angle and shape good?
Yeah.
So you've been doing this whole chefing thing for 18 years.
Sure have.
I know in that time, I remember you were working at some place in like Pasadena at one point. You were working out in Palm Springs at like, I think it was like one of those country club things where you can only die. Like somebody has to die, I believe, for somebody to move into those neighborhoods.
Those country clubs? Yeah. Some of them. I did work at one of the top ones. It was probably number 2. There was one called The Quarry, which literally had like, I think something crazy like 60 some odd members, and that was it. It was like smaller, but it had like 2 golf courses on it, and it was just super high end people, very hard to get into.
And the other one, the one that you worked at, my client actually lived there.
At Vintage? Vintage Country Club?
Yeah.
That was like the highest one. Like the members there were like former presidents and, obviously like top golfer guys.
Yeah. He had a house there and in Bel Air.
Vintage, beautiful country club. And they were Tom Fazio courses. Tom Fazio is like the number 1 golf course architect. He's like the Frank Lloyd Wright of golf courses. And I also worked at Bighorn Golf Club, so it was called, and that had Tom Fazio courses too. When I was there, they hosted the women's PGA Tour, or it was women's PGA, but it was like the Samsung event, the Samsung Tour, whatever. That was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Just being a part of that and like seeing that production and just the circus that comes with that. Like it's just those little things about being a chef is what can kind of keep you going, like just the change, because sometimes you get into a routine and it's like, it's kind of boring. And then, as a chef, that's when I'm like, all right, we're changing the menu. When you get like cool stuff or cool people that come in and stuff and kind of sparks the fire again.
You were living in San Francisco for a moment, and then I know you moved out of San Francisco because it was just like chaos to live there.
I moved to San Francisco at the perfect time for all the pricing to go up on it. So it was great.
And I never take real estate advice from you.
Oh, God, it was awful.
But you were an executive chef.
I was, yeah. I was in charge of, there was 4 restaurants. It was like a micro, you can call it a chain, but it was all right there in the Bay Area. It was a local chain, micro chains, whatever you want to call them.
I think those are like my favorite, really. Like
they're good.
It's good hair because they're kind of around, right?
Yeah, you get the corporate aspect of it with like consistency and higher standards, things like that. That a one-off restaurant might not have just because of they're just not experienced in that.
And scaling a restaurant is a whole other art form.
It is. It's the business side of being a chef is something I learned with Pacific Catch, which was the company we're talking about right now in San Francisco. It's almost more important than any other aspect of owning a restaurant or running a kitchen is just keeping because the profit margin is so slim in restaurants.
What are we talking about? Like on the average, not like, you don't have to give me the actual, like, I'm not looking for like what the restaurant you're at or previous restaurants, but like the industry average.
Industry average of like what percentage of profit they make?
Yeah. So like, let's say you have your overhead is to keep a business running is like, what's like a realistic number per month when you factor in like salaries or?
Yeah, that's going to vary. You would have to go more by percentages than actual dollars because everything, there's 60-seat restaurants, there's 30-seat restaurants, there's 240-seat restaurants. Okay. Or there's Cheesecake Factory in Palm Springs that has 640 seats.
Really?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'll say profit-wise, after you get, there's two, we'll start with the two biggest expenses that a restaurant has.
Yeah.
Is in what you call your prime costs. That's going to be your labor and your food costs, like the amount of money you spend on bringing food in.
Not surprising.
Yeah. So those are your biggest expenses, and you try to keep them both. Well, if you have a food cost of 28% or so.
What's 28%? What do you mean a food cost of 20%?
So that's the amount of money you spent bringing food in.
It's only 28% of the budget?
To the amount of money of food sold, like the amount of money you make in sales. Let's say street math. You spent $30,000 bringing in food, all your meat, all your produce,
yes,
all that stuff. And then you sold in food $100,000 worth of food, then your food costs 30%.
Got it.
Right. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I just need clarity on that because I'm like,
and that's why you might go to restaurants and, some people go to restaurants and they're like, shit, it's expensive. It's like, yeah, but that restaurant's probably not making that much money off the food. Like it takes, 3 times the amount. Like you have to charge like 3 times the amount basically in order to cover your labor, all the excess fees that come with that. And, or, with the transportation of it, keeping the lights on, your electricity, the air conditioning, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you're paying for. You're not just paying food to plate, you're here for everything.
You're also paying for front of house.
Everything, yeah. Well, which in California, that's a bigger thing than out here. Out here, it's a state where, servers make like $2.30 or whatever an hour. So they live off their tips.
Which used to be the standard with serving.
Yeah. You don't.
Not that it's right. Not that it's right or it's wrong. It's just like, that's what it used to be. And then, but I feel like once California started increasing the minimum wage, I started noticing these iPads popping up where you'd be able to order or self-checkout.
Oh yeah, like a Toast system where they're just like, they're there and they're just pushing them.
Brands, I remember like you walk into like a Red Robin or something like that size, and you could go to the table and you could just kind of punch it in, which for me wasn't shocking because at the airports, when I'm traveling all the time teaching, like almost all the restaurants are now an iPad. And you just kind of touch what you want, and then some random person brings you your drink, and then some other person is bringing your meal, and then somebody else is picking it up. There is like no interaction with one consistent human.
Right, which kind of takes away from the whole experience of eating out, which when you're at the airport, you're just trying to get the fuck in and get the fuck out anyway. So.
But then there's like a spot for like, leave a tip. And working in the service industry, I'm like, gratuity is like, did you go
above and beyond.
So like to ask for something up front before you've even paid, and there's already like what am I giving? Like you want to, because these people are probably not making it the most if they're living off of tips. Which I don't know what it's like at an airport. You want to get that, but at the same time, you also feel like, dude.
Well, you're just getting cheated.
I work in the service industry. I do not expect ever to get a tip.
Right.
Because I understand what. To it, like, the definition, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So propinas, as you were about to say.
I got sidetracked cutting something, so I was like, "Thank you for finishing my thought."
Fine.
Hang on, let me get this guy where basically just probably their neocus.
Hey, I'm a beast.
Well, I don't know if it's attached to you or if it's what I've.
A little bit of both.
Probably.
I did shave before I came in, so I shouldn't have the 5 o'clock shadow yet.
Yeah, you're like the real life Don Draper. He had to shave twice.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So like with John Hamm would have to shave at twice in like a filming to keep it like it would grow that much.
Well, he does have an enormous penis, so it probably comes with a lot of testosterone.
I wouldn't know these things if I'm comparing. I know what you're looking up with tonight.
I don't know how I come across these things, but it's like, pictures of John Hamm walking around without underwear on. I'm like, oh man, he's hanging Tom Jones style. You're welcome.
I don't know what's on your. I'm very much questioning what your homepage. This is you log up in the internet. I'm like, mine is Spark, which is like the most random. That's my homepage. Have you been on Spark?
I've heard of Fark. Yeah, it's been around for a while.
It's my favorite. It's like the most. It's like I had a client. He was a criminal defense attorney. He said his homepage was cracked, which is like most random stuff. And we were sharing how similar the pages were. It's full of like useless information. When you click on the article, you actually like learn something that you're never going to find anywhere else. Interesting. So I recommend Fark.
My home page is Google. Yeah, I'm boring. I don't go on my laptop that much
because of the podcasting now. I'm always on my laptop, so I'm actually doing more internet browsing on the machine than I am on
both.
Yeah, the phone is now turned into like the digital correspondence. Like, I just long for a flip phone. I want to go back to like 1999, my Motorola flip phone, and I'll be happy.
Oh yeah. If you don't have a cell phone, it's like, what planet are you from? Which is weird because they've only been around for like 15 years, maybe. Like,
started off.
No, like the iPhone, like with all the shit on it. Yeah, the smartphones.
So the whole. We totally went off on random.
Of course, I'm very good at doing.
Me too. So this is great. Like
this will be great.
Also undiagnosed ADHD.
I refuse.
Me too.
I think it's just called energetic. I'm just energetic in my head.
Yeah, I have a lot of energy. It's just going all over the place. It's like, take this simple test to find out if you're an adult living with ADHD. And I'm like, no.
I wouldn't care otherwise. I'm like, I'm not curing it.
Yeah.
Just tell you that right now.
Yeah, if I drink enough caffeine, I get really focused. So the profit margins are not very high in a restaurant.
No. So I'll say, yeah. So after your prime costs are done and you get all your, what we call non-controllables, that's things like, your rent and things like that, fixed priced items or expenses. After all that's said and done, if you're in double digits, like percentage wise, like if you're making 10% profit or more, you're like thriving as a restaurant. Yes. Most of them are in the single digits. The other crappy part is like when you first open a restaurant, like your sales are going to be awesome because like you're the new hot girl in town. So everyone's coming, I didn't mean coming like that. I meant going to, after a few years, then, there's newer, younger, hotter chicks in town. So your restaurant sales, you don't make as much profit because you're not making as much sales in most cases. Like if you're a celebrity chef or something like that, like, I don't think Bobby Flay has to worry about those. Well, he probably does at a certain level, but like maybe he just didn't make as much money as last year. But I don't think his restaurants will ever struggle because the name itself will bring you there.
Well, it could struggle. If there's just a massive economic downturn.
There is definitely that. Yeah, depending on...
No one's... Fine dining is not really going to... that was like one of the things that I liked about Jean-Georges, is that he has his restaurant, right, in Central Park, right? The full restaurant. And then he had, I think it's called JoJo's, which is his other smaller restaurant that each night of the week, there is a specialty on the menu that is from the Jean-Georges restaurant at this. So you're getting great food at a much lower price point. But depending on which day of the week you go, you could get one of these stellar, Michelin rated things in his other restaurant. Now, I don't know, like if I had, whatever it was on a Thursday night that they serve there and they have it also on the menu every night there, whatever it may be, I don't know how good
the quality of it matches up.
I don't know. I only went to JoJo's. Yeah. Because I was looking at the price of Jean-Georges and good luck getting a reservation, right?
Good luck getting a reservation, number one.
When you're in New York, like I was like every month, you're just kind of like picking new restaurants to try. You're only given like 3 weeks notice to be somewhere, 4 weeks, and that's not enough to get in some of these restaurants. Some of these restaurants, I remember you said you were on a wait list for one in New York for like what, 9 months or something?
A year for per se, like when it first opened. Yeah. Thomas Keller's thing there in Times Square.
Yeah.
It was a year in advance notice to get on there. And then I never went to New York, so it didn't even matter.
Have you ever done New York?
I've not been to New York. No, it's on my list, but it's not like top on my list, I guess. I don't know. I would go in like the colder months. Like I'd go in like the fall or maybe even the winter. But I definitely don't feel like experiencing a New York summer.
I would agree. However, if you are in New York in the summer, and you happen to get there when it's like a nice, warm, hot weekend, not like a scorcher. There's something really fun and magical about being in the summer in New York when it's warm, and then you're at a rooftop bar, and there's like this like evening coastal like breeze because, you know, it's surrounded by water.
Right. Yeah.
There is something really cool about that. But if you're just like out shopping and you're just on the pavement the whole time, it's not great.
Right. Yeah. I imagine, like, to me, New York in the summer just it smells like hobo pee. Like, that's just me. Probably from living in San Francisco.
You're a star.
I'm scarred from San Francisco.
Yeah, it's totally star. I mean,
I loved San Francisco when I moved there. I moved there because I would, go there on vacation and stuff, or I would visit. It was like my favorite city. And then I moved there, and that's when it started turning. They just need like a mayor to go in there and whoop some ass. Because it is a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city. So, like, just eclectic and unique. All the different houses. Like, every house is like a different color. Like, there's like purple and yellow and all this. It's just this very vibrant, kind of old, but kind of still modern. Like, everything's like kind of from like the 40s and 50s, and so it has that kind of architecture. But there's a lot of Asian influence in there, because they're like, they pretty much built San Francisco. Chinatown's a huge thing, and it's just, I don't know, it's like, it's hilly. There's towers,
really cool for great food.
It's cool. Yeah.
No, I get the food aspect of it. Like, I just never.
In the architecture part, and I mean, weather-wise, come on, that place is awesome.
For me, like, having gone to New York and London before really going to San Francisco, it didn't feel like a city. It felt like it didn't have certain things where, like, I would define as being like a big metropolitan city. Like, it didn't have easy, accessible public transport. Like,
so I've never been to New York or London, but I thought San Francisco had good public transportation.
I don't think so. Like, I was trying to get the radio, and like, you had to take like 5 buses. You couldn't just get there. Where in New York, if you wanted to go somewhere, you could take the train pretty much in every direction.
There's more trains and stuff in
that not just more trains, like it goes outside of, like, if you're in the BART or the Muni, you were good. But if you wanted to go to anything that was not on like the short list of destinations,
like you were saying, Presidio, like a little more south.
Beautiful.
No, Presidio's
great, but like, you just can't really easily get there.
No, yeah. They had a Disneyland museum there, or a Disney museum in the Presidio.
I didn't know. Somebody said, like, hey, you should go visit the Presidio. And so I was like, all right, let's go to the Presidio.
It's a cool thing. It was like it was a fort or something, right? Like, yeah. So it's a lot of brick buildings, like old school, just like brick buildings. And
I think George Lucas has something near there too. So
ILM could have was there at a studio there. Yeah. Yeah, it's right. It's right at the edge of where the Golden Gate Bridge starts. So.
Well, if you go to New York, please let me know. I have a list of restaurants that I would recommend that are, some of them you may know about, some of them you may not know about, but from going there and having clients over the years who are from New York, you start to get like a little bit of like, okay, like,
it's almost as if you live there. Like, you got
I was going there for like almost 10 years, so there's certain ones I'm like, I have to go here every time, if you can. And I know that you won't turn away much food.
No. If I'm on vacation,
yeah,
it's out the window.
You're not like, there are cuisines I will not eat.
Because of spice level or flavor?
I just don't enjoy them. Like, I don't enjoy the way they taste. And in some cases, I don't like how they react to my body.
Oh yeah, that's that.
And it's not like hot. Like, when I say it's like there's something in the seasoning of the spice where it just wrecks my body.
Are you speaking of Indian cuisine
and Thai?
Because that's unfortunate.
Because people I know who love those cuisines are really big supporters of it. It just both of those do not sit well with me, and it's not my choice.
Yeah, I understand the Indian one, because I think a lot of people have that. It is a very aggressive flavor, like coming from like a Western palate, like the average Western palate. It's a lot of different flavors and textures and things of that nature.
Which I was fine with. When my buddy Raj was taking me to these Indian restaurants, I was like, I'm fine with this. I'm not even kidding. As soon as we like left the table and got in his car, I looked at him and go, I will pay for your speeding ticket.
Yeah.
Get me home.
I'm gurgling.
Now. I was miserable for like 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
My stomach, and it was like a stomach, like it was like instant food poisoning. And then I told him, I go, I think it's food poisoning. It's like, maybe it was. So what did we do?
Try it
Again? 2 for 2. After that, I was like, oh, I'm not doing it third time.
You know, they say third time's a charm. Yeah.
No, not. Actually, I did have Indian food once after that, and I picked like the most mundane thing, and I didn't eat a lot of it. I was pretty much living off of the naan bread.
Which is delicious on its own.
Great, I loved it. And I think that saved me. I didn't enjoy myself at the dinner because I was so concerned I was going to like...
Yeah, you're going to have to call out. You're already sweating.
Yeah, I'm like, no. So what brought the move from San Francisco to here? Because I mean, on paper, it seems like the goal of a career in this industry, and tell me if I'm wrong, it's like, you know, you worked your way up to being a chef, and then having that title of executive chef seems like, okay, I've made it. After this, it's James Beard and Michelin.
So executive chef.
Right now, I'm not an executive chef.
I am close to it. I pretty much have the role of it, but yeah, it's a chef de cuisine. Some places might call it a head chef. You know, if you're a little more like not in the brigade, the Escoffier brigade system.
The what-based system?
Escoffier.
Escoffier. Is it Escoffier or Escoffier?
I say Escoffier, but who knows? It's a potato kind of thing.
Tomato. Ketchup or catsup?
Catsup. Well, catsups. No, that's different. That's a whole different animal. That's like the ketchup from China.
Oh God, you and these jokes, man. I'm not the like trigger one at the beginning of it.
I am a caveman. I am literally
trying to get canceled.
What do you call it? I'm like I still speak in the 90s. I say the R word. I do. I won't say it on for sake of.
Go to the comedy shows with me, man.
Oh, I'm all down for comedy.
Hans Kim.
Oh yeah, which I haven't heard his comedy. I don't think I know of him, obviously from Rogan.
I saw him at like an open mic night thing, and I was just like, I was watching this going like wow,
yeah.
And you're as a joke is being told, you sometimes are trying to predict where is this going. And I had an idea because I was like, well, I know the group of comedians he's with. So they're not playing R. They're playing like NC-17 or X with the jokes.
Right.
So I know he's not going to just, you know, lightly touch on something. I'm like, is he going to go hard on the paint? Is he? Oh, yeah, he did. And you're just sitting there going like.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Comedy is like the one thing where I think like when you're going into that room to hear jokes. You have to just be aware that this is like a sacred area.
Yeah.
Where everything can be said. And anytime you tell those jokes outside of that sacred area that we all agree to be equally open to being offended and having our thoughts challenged, then you get in trouble.
Also, I work in kitchens. I've been working in kitchens for, 19 years now. And that is, like, you think comedy clubs are rough? Like, dude, kitchens are
The worst?
Yeah, like probably worse than like old school military would be like kitchen. But it's almost like a comedy club because nothing's said like seriously. Yeah. Like it's all a joke. It's all just in vain. And it's because it's such a high pressure environment. You have to alleviate that pressure somehow. So dark comedy, yeah, not alcohol on the clock. Not anymore. That's how it used to be. I never could be that guy. No, like I'm like, why would I waste a buzz by working in a hot kitchen? That sounds like shit.
It sounds miserable.
Or going to work high. Like I was gonna say, what are you high? But
they'd be like, yeah,
actually, I'm high.
Actually, I'm really high right now.
Like, why would you waste a high? I never got that. And that is one thing about the whole culinary world that I'm enjoying seeing change. Is the movement towards like mental and physical health than just being like the chain smoking, like, party all night, get 4 hours of sleep, go trudge through, 12-hour shift kind of mentality that It was, and I used to even adopt.
I was going to ask you about that because, like, you know, we touched on earlier that Hell's Kitchen is not real in the sense of like that. If that existed today, then they'd probably be out of business. That chef would be on TV for being, you know, having disgruntled employees and all sorts of lawsuits.
Yeah, exactly. Or shot.
Poison.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you have a peanut allergy.
Perfect.
Yeah. What would be an accurate depiction in like a show or cinema that would be closest? And when I mean show, I mean Anthony Bourdain famously, I think, made cooking cool.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, that's great. I want to learn how to do that. Like, I think he made what that lifestyle that you're talking about. Like he personified it to this rock star status.
He did. Like, yeah, he made cooking, yeah, like he would say, like a rock star kind of thing. The thing is, Anthony Bourdain was so good with words and telling stories that, you know, he could be talking about anything, and I think you would be just as enthralled. But I think he got people more interested in like trying new things. I think that was his biggest impact on society is just try new things. Try, you know, go to your friend's house who might be, you know, like Cambodian and, you know, eat his food or whatever.
Do you know anyone who had ever eaten at the restaurants that he was at or had?
Oh, at Leal? Yeah, the chef I just worked for, Andy, he had known Anthony Bourdain. He worked with a lot of the Food Network people. Like, he worked for Bobby Flay for a little while.
Because Anthony Bourdain's no longer with us, unfortunately. I mean, when I heard that was like...
It was a rough one. And I hate to be a dick, but I'm like, dude, you had the fucking best job in the world. Like, and it's hard to say, like, how could you be depressed? But it's like, yeah, there's, you know, everybody's got their own shit.
Didn't seem out of character.
Yeah, and it's like I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not like she was this depressed person, like, oh, I would see this one coming. It wasn't like when I heard Kurt Cobain had killed himself when I was a teenager. There was already...
Yeah, like it adds up.
There was song lyrics, there was comments, there was already, you know...
There was heroin.
Yeah. So like when you have that, it was like, it came as a huge shocker. Could he like walk the walk and talk the talk as a chef?
Yes, he could. He had the knowledge and he had a skill set.
So he rightly deserved.
Yeah, he was an interesting, he's an interesting guy because he not necessarily like, you know, it's like, how do you define intelligence and intellect? You know, like he was like, for a chef, he was very smart.
Yeah.
Was he very smart, like in the kitchen running things? I don't know, because I never worked for him. Don't know anyone who worked for him. I mean, he held his own, but if you read his book or any of his books, you know that he also fucked up a lot. And like, you know, he had his personal shit and screwed people over and whatnot. He had that part that made him not great, but he was just, you know, I think he was just meant to be a writer. And he
just found it through food.
Yeah, he just, you know, he just knew how to make words. Yeah, like it. So kitchen jobs are a lot of people like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be a cook, you know? There's a lot of those kind of cooks out there. And I think he started that way and then maybe fell in love with it and grew from there and all that. And then he was supposed to be a Hunter Thompson, Wachowski kind of guy.
He always reminded me of Hunter S. Thompson.
He did, yeah.
Just like if Hunter S. Thompson was a chef.
And maybe had a better outlook on life.
Possibly, you know, I think it depends on what era of Hunter S. Thompson.
That's very true, yeah.
You know, did you ever watch that documentary on Amazon about Hunter S. Thompson?
I have. I've seen that one, and then there was another like smaller one before that I had seen too. Because you know, Cody's like super into Hunter S. Thompson. Yeah. I always tell him like, you got to watch this shit.
Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson is just such a. He's just an interesting guy.
Yeah, one of a kind. Back to the question.
Yeah, films like is Burnt like. Is that I
love that movie. I love Burnt. I think I've never worked at a Michelin star restaurant, but I know the standards and I know the culture of it just from people that have. I read more than just, you know, Food and Wine magazine and stuff. So I know that is definitely probably only a slightly exaggerated version of how Michelin star restaurants do. Because I mean, a Michelin star restaurant is under so much pressure, immense pressure. So chefs are a lot more
on edge. Stern.
Yeah, because it's like everything does literally have to be perfect. Like it has to be perfect. People that eat there, for one, they know cuisine. They're not just people off the street like, oh, let's try this place.
than I like the random tourist. Like, hey, we're in town. Let's go eat here.
Exactly. No, these are people that know what the experience should be like, and know what the expectation is, what the standards are, and everything like that, and they'll hold you to it more than you probably anybody else would. So yeah, it's a pressure cooker. So you're an asshole, and if people make mistakes, like you're gonna lose your shit.
Because they can also take Michelin stars away.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they have like plants or whatever you want to call them. They have people that go into Michelin star restaurants and will do certain things to test the Michelin star, even with like service and stuff like that. Like they'll place a fork on the floor and like try to hide it and stuff, see if somebody notices, come by and pick it up.
Really?
Yeah, goofy ass shit like that.
I was a thatcher.
That would be a sweet job.
That would be like
I'm the saboteur.
I would love that. You know what would be really great is if they did that with celebrities. So that now you have to deal with like, am I going to offend the ego of the celebrity because they're, make like, sir, you can't be screaming and yelling in here,
Yeah.
Like imagine like Russell Brand when he wasn't sober, like, hey, Russell, go into this restaurant and have 1 too many glasses of wine. Let's just see what happens,
But get him to the Greek Russell Brand.
Exactly.
Love that movie. So Michelin star is one thing. That's why I'm saying there's so many different facets of the culinary world.
Yeah.
So would I like to learn certain things from Michelin star, working in a Michelin star place? Yes. But I know I couldn't take like that abuse.
Somebody were to offer you like a 1 month, like, hey,
Like a stage or whatever.
yeah, for like a month,
Hopefully paid, because, I'm in my 40s now. I don't do free stages anymore, but
you would take that?
I would take it. Rene Redzepi from Noma.
Oh yeah.
You can go work for him.
In Denmark.
In Denmark, in Copenhagen. And he'll pay for your lodging and stuff like that. And you can do like a 2-month, like kind of mentorship thing. And he has you work in different areas of it. Like you can work in the fermentation lab, and you can work, on the, probably not on the line, but, helping prep. The chef that I worked for at Shore did that. Really? He was there. Yeah, I think he was there for like 3 months because he was working for Paul Key at the time. And
Who's that?
he was, he's like a kind of famous celebrity chef. Like he was a high-end chef from Texas.
Okay.
The Dallas area. Off Lamar, East Side Kings. There's a restaurant called East Side Kings off of Lamar.
Uh-huh.
He is part of that. But he fell into some trouble by beating his either wife or girlfriend, and his kind of empire crumbled. But before all that happened, Brandon had worked for him and got the opportunity to go do that stage up there in Copenhagen.
That's cool.
And he said it was a great experience. I would do that, but, I'm also at an age and I have a certain life to where I'm not a 20-year-old single guy anymore. So it's not as easy for me to just like ditch my
Obligations.
Yeah, like I have a kid. I have a 16-year-old daughter. He'll enjoy the teenage years some days. I think only 14 and 15.
My 4-year-old has already given us lip. It's so funny. So he was up first before his big brother. He came into a bedroom where Soshal and I were just waking up. And then he's like in bed with us talking. And then he like gets up. I'm like, where are you going? He's like, to the kitchen. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you going to do? His response was, well, you'll find out when I'm back. He's 4.
That's it.
And you just leave. And I get up and my wife's like, where are you going? I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I'm like, I need to follow him. Like,
Yeah. You don't have that surprise. Yeah. Would I like to learn certain things? Yes. But, in this day and age now, with like just the wealth of knowledge at your fingertips, like literally at your fingertips off of your phone and stuff, like you can learn that kind of stuff just by somebody's got a video out there somewhere.
what is it that you think everyone at home could do just to make their food more enjoyable or taste better?
Salt.
And you said, hey, the reason everything tastes better at a restaurant is butter and salt.
Butter and salt.
And I said, what do you mean? And I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, everyone at home is so worried about using too much salt that they don't use the right amount of salt. So they're undersalting everything. Meanwhile, if you saw the amount of salt that goes into most foods at a restaurant, you probably would not want to eat the food. And when you add butter, you just keep adding more butter.
Fat, salt, acid. The 3 things you can do to make your cuisine better by regulating those things. And by regulating, I mean using a lot more of. Use more lime juice. Use more salt, use more coconut oil, whatever fat you're using, use more of it. That's the hack.
That's the hack. It's not more coriander.
Well, I don't know. I do love coriander.
I always say it's like, is Panda Express Chinese food?
No, it's California cuisine.
To some people, it's delicious, and like if it tastes good, it tastes good. It may not be authentic,
Right.
but like if it's good, it's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I know Chinese food. I've eaten at a lot of like really nice Chinese restaurants and stuff. But it's like, yeah, is beef and broccoli Chinese food? Kind of, but no. It's Chinese American food. I think that's just the easiest answer. Just say it's that culture plus America food, like General Tso's chicken. That was created in America.
Yeah. So was the fortune cookie.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. That was a.
I'm trying to think of where that. They didn't extrapolate anything from Chinese culture to
Something like foods that built America, and like it was like a whole thing on the History Channel. There was like the whole thing on hot dogs and hamburgers, and I think one of them was about Chinese food, about how chop suey is one thing, but it became something different in San Francisco during the building of San Francisco, and then like how the fortune cookie kind of came out of this. And I've always wanted to start a business called Unfortunate Cookies, where you just open it up and it's just like one forward thing, like you will die alone. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Unfortunate Cookie. Yeah.
actually nobody loves you.
Yeah, stuff like that. I thought it'd be fun.
Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah.
Super bummer cookies. It's like the booger flavored jelly bean.
Yeah.
Fortune cookies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. When they did the Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah. The sour milk one was the worst.
I will eat jelly beans.
Oh, I hate jelly beans. We were at Six Flags or something. Peyton was just like 10 years old or something. So she had them. And then, you're standing in line for an hour and a half, waiting to get on a ride. And they're, goading me to do it. And I'm like, fine, I'll do it. I immediately regretted that. It was awful.
I remember jelly beans, those Jelly Bellies as a kid. And I remember everybody would always love the buttered popcorn.
Those are so gross.
I only like the ones that taste like strawberry or like, sour apple.
Even those, like, you don't love it.
No.
You don't love them.
I realize is I don't like I like chocolate. Very different. To me, chocolate is not even in the same category. It's like,
no, especially something like dark chocolate. I'm not a big chocolate person either, except for dark chocolate. I do like a more bitter kind of chocolate, like chocolate as a savory.
We're talking like an 85% sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like that with espresso. Talk about bitter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right? Or the dark chocolate covered espresso beans.
Oh, yeah, those are good too.
Those are great. I've never been like a big sweets guy. Like I don't have a sweet tooth. Even as a kid, I don't think I did. I'm more of a salty, spicy kind of guy.
Speaking of spicy, at H-E-B, have you seen the Hijole tortilla chips?
Hijole? Yeah.
Yeah, I love those things. I can eat like a bag. Wanted to get me something as a gift for like my birthday, and they came up with like 5 bags of those. They'd be like my new favorite friend.
Yeah. Those are the ones they make inside H-E-B. Those ones, like the
and have like
just plastic.
Yeah, they throw them in the big plastic thing.
Yeah.
But they're covered in this delicious, beautiful red powder.
Red powder stuff.
I would just bottle that because I would love to cook fajitas in that stuff.
Yeah.
Or like spicy chicken thai. I just love that. Like to me, that seasoning is just amazing.
Isn't it insane? Like how well H-E-B has nailed being like a supermarket.
Yeah.
It's like the best supermarket you've ever been to. It's insane.
It is. It really is. And I feel like we're doing a whole plug for H-E-B, right?
We are definitely. Their brand stuff is good, if not better than some of the major brand stuff.
As a kid, I never thought I'd ever buy like the Kroger version of anything. Mm-hmm. But then I'll see like, oh, I have Ritz. But then I have H-E-B crap because I'm like, well, I know I like their cookies in the bakery.
Yep.
I can't find it. But if you wanted their H-E-B Coca-Cola style stuff, when they used to be able to sell it in glass, it was on par with the Mexican Coke. But now I can't find it in glass. It's all in aluminum, and I try to not buy anything in aluminum cans. Mm-hmm. And people are like, why?
It's a whole thing. Yeah. I know your plight. H-E-B's on. And then you go to Central Market, and you're like, oh, it's H-E-B kicked up a notch.
Their bakery.
Yeah, I have to literally run through it.
Me too.
Because it is just too enticing.
I want one of every baguette.
Yeah. I want everything. The whole place smells like the freaking bakery.
If I was craving bread and fish, and I happen to go to a Central Market.
It's a very Jesus meal, by the way.
Hey, man, I'm getting the hair for it. Give me the robe and sandals. I don't know if I would be able to like walk out without spending $200 on something like that.
Which is one bag of groceries at Central Market, just so everyone's clear.
Yeah. I mean, because they have like all that beautiful fish on display.
Yeah, sometimes they'll have like whole tuna.
Speaking of fish, have you gone to Uchi?
I went to Uchiko, like the smaller one.
Okay.
When I first moved here, it was Easter.
Okay.
And I didn't know anybody. And I'm like, I wasn't working yet. So I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. So I knew about Tyson Cole and the whole, high hospitality thing. So I'm like, I was able to get into Uchiko. I went there and I spent a good amount of money on myself.
Well,
but it was great.
Uchi, I went recently, like a few months back recently, with some neighbors for her birthday. The menu's broken down into like 3 menus right on there. So you have like one side is like rolls that are more traditional, and then you have their specialty rolls, and then they have everything imported from Japan. That is the list.
Yeah.
So next time you go, just say you want one of everything on that list, and it will be I would order one thing from here. My wife and I ordered like something from like the specialty roll menu. And then I ordered myself like one piece of sushi from here, whatever it was. And everything off of the import from Japan list was unbelievable. And it's the only time I've ever had sushi that rivaled the best sushi I'd ever had, which was a place called Nakazawa in New York. I think in hairdressing terms. So he was like the assistant.
A sous chef.
For Jiro.
Oh, from Tokyo Subway.
Yeah, so Jiro in the documentary, and he has his own spot. From my knowledge, he does everything the way Jiro did it. Everything after that tastes like what they call gas station sushi.
Yeah, yeah.
That list from Japan at Uchi is rivaled that. So now I don't have to go to New York again. So that would be it. So that would be one place you could wait to go to New York and eat at, or just go to Uchi and just order one of everything. And it will probably run you about the same amount of money.
Yeah, Uchi's not cheap. One of my best meals I've had, in both terms of the food and the service as well, was Nobu.
Really?
Yeah, the Nobu in Vegas.
I've never gone to Nobu.
Yeah, fantastic food.
The reason I never went to Nobu is because anytime a lot of celebrities like going somewhere, I just assume it's more of a scene than it is actually about the craft of food. And for like, there are some places like we talked about this in LA, Animal.
Yeah, love Animal, which is not around.
Right, I know.
R.I.P. That was my favorite restaurant in LA.
It was the only place I felt that actually cared about food for foodies. And the fact that you couldn't change anything on the menu.
Right.
They didn't care. And they didn't cater to celebrities.
It was a communal table.
I remember I was there with my friend, a makeup artist, and my roommate, right? And then I could have reached out and touched the other table, and that was Jonah Hill and all of his friends. They didn't get any special treatment, and I loved that.
Especially in LA. Like, you almost have to
it doesn't happen.
Do it on purpose.
Yeah. And their cookbook, that's the whole reason I went there, is because their cookbook.
Yeah.
2 dudes, 1 pan.
Yeah, those chefs, and they have a lot of different restaurants, so it's not like they're struggling or anything. I don't know why Animal had to close down. I know the pandemic effed every freaking chef, restaurant, small business, everything in the world. But like Son of a Gun survived, which is their fish restaurant.
That was good.
It was good. Yeah, I went there too. It was the best lobster roll I've ever had.
I don't remember what I ordered, but I do remember going, this is phenomenal.
I'm sure you had the uni pasta. You see that on the menu, you gotta have it.
I don't think I had that mini pasta. I don't remember what I had. I was on a date. And I think we were like splitting things because there was like a few things that sounded good, but we didn't know if we wanted to commit to 100% that. Like, what if that's not good? But this seems good, so let's just order both. One of the rare times when you and the date are wanting the same items on the menu, so you're like, well, I guess this works again. I guess this works again. All right, let me get all this hair off real quick. So it's laying back, which is nice. Yes. You want to run your hands through your hair and let me know how it feels? Is that about the right length?
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect.
Awesome. All right, so now I'm going to go through and really shave and get this a little bit tighter. So what's your favorite restaurant that you've been to lately in Austin?
In Austin lately, these are always such hard questions. I have to put my...
it can be anything.
Put my chronological time cap on. Last really good meal I had in Austin was Ember. If you haven't been there, it's Mexican or Latin cuisine. I don't know if it's 100% Mexican, but it's definitely more interior Mexican, not Tex-Mex, but like high end, like masa cakes with crema and caviar on them, which are actually probably the least tasty thing on the menu. But everything else was great. And they do blue and yellow corn tortillas, like that they make themselves.
Oh, cool.
But they're mixed together. So these kind of tie-dye tortillas.
That's neat.
Yeah, they were super tasty, super fatty. I think they use like beef tallow or probably manteca. I forget what else we got. We got some meat. I don't remember which cut, if it was like babette or whatever. But that place was awesome.
Have you made the La Condesa?
Yeah, I went a few years ago to La Condesa. Yeah, that's the other thing about living in these large metropolitan areas. Like there's so many good restaurants. We went to Suerte when it first opened up.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, but that's what happens when restaurants first open up.
Yeah.
Like they haven't like nailed it down quite yet with like staff and stuff, but it was good. There was just a few misses here and there.
They serve one of my favorite meats in a taco, which is suadero. I really just want to go because they're known apparently for like that meat, that cut. Yeah. Or they're known for doing a really good job. It's not a meat you see often on a menu. So
no, I don't even know if I'm 100% sure of what it is. Suadero?
Suadero.
Swindero?
Suadero? Suadero? I don't know how to say it exactly because, when I speak Spanish, I sound like John Lane, right? Como te llama?
Yeah, like I'm just Arrivederci. Love that movie, by the way. Oh, it's great.
I like how you and I know exactly what that is. And somebody in here's like, what? And I'm like, Inglourious Basterds.
You haven't seen Inglourious Basterds.
Well, you're for Danshi. Yes, Buongiorno. And then it speaks so good.
I speak the second best Italian in this place.
Yes. Somebody told me it was like the shoulder. And then I read that it's not the shoulder, but it's another part of the cow. But it's great. And I only know about it because my friend Robert, when we were in San Diego after this like 91X music festival, he's like, oh, this is really good taqueria near here. So we went there and they have one in San Diego. They also have one in Vegas. I had to go to that one. Every time I was in Vegas. And it's called Tacos El Gordo de Tijuana. And it was just like one of those things you're like, okay, like this is so good. I can do it. Yeah. And after that, like they had really good al pastor and they had really great suadero. And those are the two tacos I would just order every single time. And Suerte has suadero on the menu. So it's one of those, like, I really want to go, but I also hear you have to get a reservation quite ahead of time.
Yeah, they're a popular restaurant. I actually have two cooks that work for me at Tilly's that came from Suerte. Sometimes places will leave a little bit of tables for walk-ins, and if you get in early enough or at the right time,
you can do it.
Then you can do it, yeah. Especially when restaurants first open up.
Yeah.
Like we had... What was that place called? Lin Wu, I think is what it's called. Lin Wu. It just opened up by where I live, like off Southwest Parkway. They have a restaurant here called Lin. It's known for like their soup dumplings, one of those kind of things. Yeah. So they opened up a new place down off Southwest Parkway called Lin Wu, which was kind of like a even higher end version of Lin.
Do you have a particular cuisine that you love to just enjoy?
So not necessarily cook.
This is the first time I've actually mentioned on here. You and I were in a band together.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't just got.
I meant to bring pictures.
Oh no, I have pictures. It was just, it's ridiculous. You haven't changed at all. You still look like you from that era.
No, yeah, just a little more gray.
Yeah. And I had wild hair then. I'm like a chameleon or whatever. It's like with music, there would be music pieces or songs I never wanted to learn because I always wanted to be in awe.
Right.
Like after I learned the Metallica solo for one, I realized like, oh, it's not as hard as it sounded. Now, my first big guitar would have never said that. I'd be like, that is really fucking hard.
Yeah, I mean, the tapping and whatnot.
Yeah, when you start learning like Dream Theater riffs, your level kind of what you think is easy becomes different.
Mm-hmm.
I'll only tell you that story because like, are there cuisines that you go, I love this so much and I never want to learn how to do this because I just want to enjoy it.
You just want to have the mystique of it.
Yeah.
Cooking mystique of it. I don't think so. Because all my favorite cuisines, the way I approach food is if I like something, I learn as much about it as I can. So I kind of dive into it. So my favorite cuisines are like the Southeast Asian ones, Japanese, Thai, Korean. And so I learned how to make that stuff. Like I make my own kimchi and things like that because I love it and I like to do that stuff at home. Do I do it in a restaurant? Not necessarily. Like, do I want to do it every day? Probably not. So I think that's more of like what you're talking about. Like, would I want to do it every day? No. But I do like it and I do want to learn about it.
Okay, I get that. That's cool though. Like when I learned the skin fade, would I want to do skin fades all day long?
Yeah, no,
The answer
it's
is no.
fun. Yeah.
But I like that I know how. And if I need to, somebody comes in, hey, I want skin fade. All right, I can give you your skin fade. But I don't, if I only did skin fades, it would really lose its fun.
So when I cook at home, I do like to do things that are time consuming, take a lot of time, because it's no pressure.
This haircut, I do haircuts in 45 minutes. It's not, this is taking like what, an hour and 25 minutes. Like I'm on vacation. Like I'm
Exactly.
slow down and we can just talk and hang out.
Right. Cooking at a restaurant, cooking at home, I'm a completely different person. Especially being a chef, it's more of management than cooking.
Yeah.
Until you have to, people don't show up or you're short staffed and you do have to cook. And then that's when I actually enjoy it more.
Is when you're short staffed?
When I have to work a station. Yeah. No, it sucks being short staffed.
Judging by the text messages you and I had exchanged for you to, schedule, it did not seem like you enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's going down. But and it's more like frustration, it's just like, because on top of, having to work that station or whatever, you still have all your other duties for the day you have to do. So it just prolongs your day. Like, that's already a long day. Well, caffeine, what a great drug.
As I say, it's like the only socially acceptable joy, that you can do while still drive a car. Do you have like any ideas of like where the future food is going? Do you think restaurants and, are they evolving? And I'm always saying it's because the food truck model sort of in a way was the disruptor of food.
I can see that. So food's cheaper because you have less overhead.
And I'm imagining the profit margins are equal to a restaurant or greater.
I don't know enough about it to answer that 100%, but
Appearance-wise, I imagine...
Because you still do have permits and you still do have rent. You have to rent the spot that you're parked at.
Because food trucks are like stationary food trucks.
Yeah, like what we call trailer. Yeah, trailers.
The ones I was talking about, like the Koji truck in California, where like they would drive it and they'd say, Twitter, we're going to be here today. And then they would show up and they would sell it. And then they'd say, like, tomorrow we're going to be over on this street. And it was, from my knowledge, I don't think you had to pay for
You have to pay to park. Like you need like kind of one of those like universal city parking permits, like what would be like, like utility companies and shit like that. Like, I think you have to have one of those.
Yeah, but
I don't know how
cheaper
expensive those are.
I mean,
yeah, rent is ridiculous.
have you ever thought about going in that route before?
When I was in Palm Springs, I wanted to own a food truck, but Palm Springs does not allow food trucks.
Really?
Yeah, they did not allow food trucks. I don't know why, but they were just like, there's no way to get a permit to have a food truck in Palm Springs like that. What is that? Coachella Valley, Indio County, whatever the county is. I mean, it might have changed by now. But this was in, 2010, 2011, somewhere around there.
Because I know they had food trucks at Coachella.
Yeah, that might be different because it's an event. And I bet they're not from Palm Springs. They're probably LA food trucks.
Yeah, I remember there's a couple. I was like, I remember that. They had a Koji truck, I think, one time. And they had I think the Milagro Tequila had a margarita truck or something. Obviously, throwing that on the streets of California.
No, it'd be pretty sweet, though. It would be pretty sweet.
It was fun to learn about the restaurant world a little bit because that's so foreign for me. And like I said, I think we only get to see the celebrity chef stuff and we only get to see what like Burnt or like Anthony Bourdain thing, but we don't like, is it really as exciting as they make it seem, or is it more like mundane? And I think talking to you, depending on which level of restaurant, you're going to get something more similar or more distant from
LA
or like even the movie Chef with
Jon Favreau. Yeah, so that actually at the beginning of the movie when he has the restaurant that's owned by Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah,
that's probably closer to like a real like a restaurant that is a popular restaurant, not necessarily a celebrity chef, but a no chef for that area, in this case, LA, or even maybe just that neighborhood of LA. And the battle between being the chef and wanting to change things and stuff, and then the owner saying, talking about the Rolling Stones, like if you go to see the Rolling Stones and they don't play Satisfaction, then you're going to be disappointed. And so he wanted to keep those the menu items the same. You know, even though the chef had a plan to change the whole menu and was excited about it, then the owner comes in and shits on that. Yeah, so there is that aspect too. Like you do cater to owners sometimes.
But then also, like, there's some restaurants that are permanently, you know, time capsule for a reason. Like Musso and Frank's in LA, to me, would be like one of those places. Like, it isn't the oldest still functioning restaurant in LA, and you go there for that service and that food of that time because it's not.
It's the Rat Pack era.
It's
like
not
steakhouse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have House of Prime Rib in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like,
It's an institution.
it is. Like, if they changed, people would riot.
I don't know. It'd be like going to France and the Eiffel Tower not being there.
Exactly, yeah. So there is.
You open no Statue of Liberty. You're like, what? You got rid of the skyscrapers? Why? That's what made this. Like, there's like these institutional models that I think have to never change.
There is. And so certain types of people work there, right? That's going to be a certain type of server, a certain type of chef is going to be there knowing that he has zero creativity. That menu is not changing. So
What do you think the definitive job like that is? Is it like they are not creative, or they're all about like, you know, like almost like a food historian, like I want to help preserve?
I would say 80% of me says that it's just someone who, it's just a job to them. Like, they've been a cook just because that's what they did, not necessarily a passion project, but they're good at what they do. And then they moved up and they understand the numbers game of being a chef. And then they just go to that place and you know, it's easy because it's the same shit every day. Like, you don't have to think too hard about that part of it. You just have to make sure everything's going right.
I imagine like there'd probably be like a certain technical skill level.
Yeah.
You have to be in like in hairdressers and chefs or in that world of cooking. Like we probably have a lot more in common. We talked about that. I think you said at one point, like, if you didn't go to school for doing food, like you could maybe saw yourself doing hair. And I was like, oh, if I didn't do this, if I was advanced in doing hair, I would go into cooking immediately.
Yeah.
And, you know, two professions where you use sharp objects.
That's right. Yeah. Using your hands and you don't have to be outside.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah. That's what drew me to it.
Yeah, I want to work with my hands, but fuck working in the heat. I don't want calluses. Like,
Yeah. No. Like,
But I imagine like there's hairdressers who are technically so skilled and they can cut anything you show them. But if you ask them to create something with no point of reference, can they do it?
they don't have that part of
That
the brain.
part is not active. And I'm wondering, and I imagine that's like in your world as well.
Yeah. There's some people that it's just a job, and that's fine. Like, we need those people too. Those are the people that are chefs at Applebee's or whatnot. You know, it's just a job to them. They're only a manager because it pays more than being a line cook. But, you know, the passion's just as
It's just not that.
equal. Yeah. They're just like, it's cool. It's fine.
So 20 years of doing this, how do you have passion? How do you keep the passion going for being a chef?
It's going to sound crazy, but I like the pressure in a sense of like the fast paced environment and like the kind of crazy zoo that a kitchen is. Like, it's organized chaos, if that makes any sense. Like, so many things are going wrong and so many things are going right at the same time that if I imagine myself being a CPA, like working on somebody's taxes, like, I would rather be dead. I think as a chef, it's almost like, who was it, Aristotle or Socrates, who said like, I know I'm a wise man because I know nothing kind of thing. That's what it's like being a chef, and possibly being a hairdresser too, is like, if you think you know it all, then you're probably like the dipshit that doesn't know anything. Like, knowing that you don't know everything, or that pretty much you don't know anything,
Yeah.
is what drives you and makes you a better chef. Because like, you're always learning and you have no ego, like, holding you back from evolving.
I say something similar. I'm like, I'm smart enough to know I know nothing.
Yeah.
Like I do we know things? Yes, we do. But the minute you say like, oh, I don't need any more education classes, so I don't need to learn anything, I'm like, well, then just retire.
Yeah, exactly. You've thrown in the towel, dude.
Yeah, you give it up.
Yeah, I learned every kitchen I've ever been in. I've learned something, and I learned things from cooks more than anything. Rare, and it could just be something that they figured out yesterday. You know, they're just like, hey, I did this certain way and stuff. And you're like, shit, that's the way I'm going to do it forever now. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna ask you one food tip for somebody out there. We already talked about butter and salt. One food tip you would give that everyone would probably be able to use in their own kitchen?
The best restaurants out there, obviously they know their techniques and stuff, but it's all about your ingredients. So if you have great produce to start off with, your meal's going to end up awesome with little to no manipulation. I would say ingredients, like get the best piece of fish, splurge for the best piece of meat, the higher end, the grass fed, the don't get the shit that's already sealed up in a package kind of thing. Go to the counter. That's what's going to make your meal elevated.
Okay. Cool.
And fat, salt, acid.
Thanks, Spencer.
You have to.